Hello my wonderful friends, my name is Katie. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do my January wrap-up. The reason that this wrap-up is actually a little late is because I was feeling unsure of whether or not I really want to do wrap-ups on my channel. However, I think I've really figured out the format that I want to do for these wrap-ups in my videos to hopefully keep them interesting and exciting for you. But honestly, I think they're a great recap for me to look back every single month and kind of see how I did. This one's going to be shorter because something I want to do moving forward is, instead of me going through every single book I've read and giving you a repeated rundown that I've already done in other videos, I want to insert clips from when I was reading the book or my final thoughts in other videos and put them here instead of me just regurgitating something I've already said somewhere else. I don't have that footage for this video. In this video, we're just going to go over my January stats. I love statistics. I absolutely love talking about all the things numbers when it comes to reading. When it comes to tracking, if you think I like math in general, I certainly do not. That is a misconception. It is a hard no for me, but stats, big fan. For the month of January, I read 18 books, and that was 2,967 pages and right around 114 hours of audiobooks. So on Storygraph, they categorize your moods, like your reading mood and what books you tend to pick up the most. And I thought this was so funny. My top 3 moods were emotional, mysterious, and tense, which absolutely. But then if you kept going, my next 3 moods were lighthearted, hopeful, and funny. And I feel like this really summarizes me as a person and as a reader. I really love that balance between this book makes me feel all the feels, like there's tension, there's angst, there is just, you don't know what's gonna happen, and then there is the people who are making you laugh, there's the romance, there's the swoony moments, and I just love that balance. So I thought that was like spot on. In terms of format, I did 11 audiobooks, 6 ebooks, and 1 physical. Definitely hoping to switch this up throughout the year, but honestly I think this year is going to be heavily focused on audiobooks no matter what I do. But a goal of mine is to read more of my physical books, so hopefully more physical books get added onto my TBR. For genres, my top read genres were romance, contemporary, and thrillers. No surprise there. I really only read 1 fantasy in January, so hopefully that'll also be something that changes as the year continues. My average star rating was 3.47, and honestly this actually doesn't surprise me. I had 2 books that were less than 3 stars, so honestly that really makes your overall rating go pretty low, and I didn't have any 5 stars in January, so something to look forward to in February. Next, we're going to talk about publishers. I really want to start tracking what publishers I read the most throughout the year, because there are so many publishers, so many, and I can get very easily overwhelmed, and I really want to make sure like I am paying attention to, okay, which publishers am I just picking up time and time again? One, this helps me because it builds a rapport with that publisher. I'm able to, reach out to them and ask for more arcs, but also I'm able to join their influencer programs and things like that. So if I'm reading a ton of books from Forever Publishing, then I would want to reach out to them and be like, oh my gosh, can I be part of your program? Where do I start? And things like that. So also, I just am curious because I want to know. 11 of the books I read in January were actually indie published, so they didn't have a publisher at all. And then I read 2 from Atria Books, 1 from Berkeley, 1 from Dell Romance, 1 from Simon & Schuster, 1 from St. Martin's and Press, and 1 book from William Morrow. So kind of all over the place, but I love that majority of my books are indie published. I've been really loving indie authors lately, so I'm curious to see though how this will change throughout the rest of the year. Another thing that's really important to me to track is I want to make sure that the subscriptions that I am paying for, whether or not I am utilizing them, are they worth the money? And that is what this chart is for. So in the month of January, I read 5 books from Kindle Unlimited, 4 books from Libby, 2 books from Everand, and 1 book from Audible. I do want to take a moment and pause. Everand is on this list, and that is because I have paid until the end of the year. However, I've talked about this many times on sprints and wherever I can and to whoever asks me. I do not think this program and this company is worth your money. In my opinion, what they have decided to do to their program is a disservice to the people who have been loyal to them for many years. So do your research. If it's something you think you're interested in, absolutely go for it. However, I just want to make it very clear, the only reason you will see Everand on this list this year is because I've already paid for it. And they unfortunately will not refund me, even though they essentially aren't giving me what I paid for. So that's a rant for a different day. I just wanted to clarify that, like, after 2025, you will not see Everand. I will not be continuing giving them any of my money. I highly recommend that you check out other places. I know some people might say, oh, well, you're using Audible. Yes, I use Audible for Audible exclusives. Otherwise, I try to use my library, but I'm also going to be replacing Everand with Libro FM. If you do not know what Libro FM is, it is essentially very similar to Audible in the fact that like you pay a set fee and you get a certain amount of credits that you can use. You don't get unlimited books for a certain amount of money. You do have to unlock credits. What I really love that sets Libro apart from Audible is the fact that some of the money that goes to your purchase, so when you buy an audiobook, some of that money goes to support an indie bookstore of your choice. So here in Minneapolis, we have Tropes and Trifles, which is a romance-only bookstore, and I really love supporting them. So I love the fact that like me doing something I'm gonna do anyways, which is buying audiobooks, can help support them as well, because we all know indie bookstores need our love, they need our help. So really, really important to me, and that's where I will be spending my Everand money. It will be with them instead. So I may or may not already be spending money there, so I know there's a little bit of overlap, but it's fine. It's for a good cause. It's fine. I thought this was so funny. So another thing I'm tracking is an author status. So whether or not the authors I'm reading are authors I have read before or if they're new to me, and it is split 50-50 down the middle. 9 of them I've read before, 9 of them are new to me. So I loved that. I'm also tracking this year whether or not I owned the book or I borrowed the book, and I borrowed 11 books and I read 8 owned books. So not too bad, not too bad. And then another thing I'm really, really excited to share is we're gonna talk about every single month. I wanna go over the books that I hauled and whether or not I've read them, because it is one of my goals for 2025 to read half of the books that I buy. So if I buy 50 books this year, I'm gonna buy more, but if I buy 50 books this year, the goal is to read at least 25 of them. So I think this is really interesting to track. I don't know how I'm going to keep it up as I go through every single month. We'll have to see how this, ebbs and flows and what changes. But for now, in the month of January, I bought 6 books, and of those 6 books, I've already read 5 of them. I did not read them this month. They are just fortunately books that I've already read, so I get to say that I've read them, so it counts. Next, we're gonna get into all of the series statistics. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is whether it was part of a series or a standalone, because I'm curious, do I read more series? I think I do. Or do I read more standalones? For the month of January, I read 10 books that are part of a series and 8 books that are standalones. And I started 7 series and I DNF'd, I wanna say 2. I haven't completely decided whether or not they are firm DNFs, but I think of the 7 series I started this month, 2 of them I will not be continuing. We'll see. I will probably do quarterly series reviews where I go over and talk about every single series I'm reading and updates like that. So stay tuned for that. Another thing I will be tracking in terms of series is whether or not I caught up with a series or if I finished a series, but that did not happen in January. So far, I've only started series and potentially DNF'd some. Next, I want us to transition into the Tortured Readers Book Club, which is the book club that I co-captain, co-create, co-collaborate with my friend Rainey from Rainey Blue Reads. And in the month of January, we read Metal Slinger. And this book I was really excited about because people had very strong opinions. You either loved it, you were like, oh my gosh, amazing, give me book 2 immediately, or people were like, what was that? And I wanted to know where I fell in terms of teams. Where was I gonna be? And I really wish it turned out differently, but Metal Slinger unfortunately was a 2.5 star for me. I was in the camp of like, what did I just read, right? And I can't even necessarily give you a full rundown of what happened because I did read this book so much earlier in the month. We're following Bryn, and she's not like other girls. They never are, you know what I mean? She has this really interesting meet cute with the guy who's going to be the love interest throughout the story. I had honestly no idea that's where this was gonna go. And I think the book does a good job of literally confusing you 90% of the time. You're literally like, I don't know what's going on. Am I supposed to know what's going on? You're just kind of along for the ride. So I was just following it. I fell in love with one character and one character only. And unfortunately, the author, I don't know if the author likes this character. To be determined, I guess. I guess I'd have to read book 2 to find out. I don't know that I'm gonna do that because the ending really made me question what I did with my time. It was not an ending that I love. I do not typically love endings like this. I don't know how to talk about it without spoiling it, and I definitely don't want to spoil it because I want to encourage anyone who's interested in this book to pick it up. I have high hopes though because in February we're going to be reading Rise of the Cinderfae by Whitney Dean. I've had this book on my TBR for quite some time, and I believe it is on KU here in the US. So if you're interested in joining, I'll make sure that the Discord link is in the description and you are welcome to come hang out. We do chapter breakdowns, and Rainey and I also do a day of all-day reading sprints where you can join us for the day. We will be yapping and chatting and sprinting and all reading the book together. It's a pretty fun time if I do say so myself, but it's an option to you if you're interested. fingers crossed that this book is much better for us. And then this is normally where I would transition and I would have us use clips to talk about every single book that I read, but like I said, I won't be doing that in this video, so this is just gonna be the shortest one you've ever seen. Let me know in the comments below how many books you read in January, and if you're not feeling chatty, leave me any flower emoji, because honestly, I'm hoping for spring. It's currently snowing. We have like this snowstorm happening. I'm not happy about it. Not happy about it. So instead, we're going to pretend that spring is coming. Spring is near. So leave me any flower emoji. It does not matter if you just want to say that you were here. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.